Hey guys, Pelican here, and today I'll be going through the new PTS patch notes, which is also update 33, and I'll be focusing more on the combat changes, so I'll be skipping all the unnecessary stuff which won't be relevant. So I hope you guys enjoy, and I'll be giving my thoughts and opinions uh, on the upcoming changes. So without further ado, let's go into it. Timestamps are in the description. Alright, so all these are useless. Okay, so we have our first combat relevant, which are new sets. So let's look at the first set. It's a light armor set, and set description: on overhealing yourself or a group member with a direct heal, you apply debuff to a target for 6 seconds that deals shock damage in an AoE. Damage is based on 33% of the overhealed amount up to 3.3k. So, in my opinion, I don't think this will be quite useful in PvP. It looks like you have to heal someone for like maybe 9k or almost 10k to be able to hit the cap. And I guess the cap is about 3.3k. I'm assuming this like pauses every second for 6 seconds. And the AoE size is pretty respectable, 7 meters, not too big, not too small. I don't think this will make too much of a difference, honestly. It doesn't look like a set that a lot of people is going to use. So let's move on to the next set, which is a medium armor set. When you deal critical damage, you can activate a synergy, which causes bleed damage, I guess. And it's a small AoE, and the synergy can be applied once every 20 seconds, scales off of a higher stat. So to me, this set looks like it can be useful with harmony, maybe. Like, it looks like, I mean, one special thing about this set which you don't see often is the fact that you can activate the synergy yourself. So I guess that will open up some possibilities. But I guess it depends on how much bleed damage it actually does to see whether it will actually be relevant or not. So, okay, let's see the next set. Heavy armor. After successfully blocking from an enemy within 8 meters, you tether to them for 8 seconds. While tethered, you deal frost damage every second to enemies touching the tether, and causing them to have an increased 200 status effect chance. Okay, to me, it might seem like it's a very big difference, 200%, but honestly, it is so easy to apply status effects now that I don't even think this matters at all. The tether breaks if the target moves more than 12 meters away and can be applied once every 12 seconds. Damage scales off of our max health. Okay, this is the interesting part. But honestly, to me, this set doesn't look like it's going to do a lot of damage. Probably maybe like at most it's probably like a 500 to 1k damage per second. So I don't think this set is going to be used too often as well. Alright, let's move on to the monster sets. So, okay, it has a pretty nice one piece bonus, I guess. Kind of same as Domihius or Storm Mother, but for some reason it's only 730 instead of 1k. But okay, let's look at the second set bonus. So on dealing damage with a heavy attack, you create a whirlwind that slowly moves forward for 8 seconds, growing by 3 meters every 3 seconds. It makes me wonder how big the whirlwind is at the start. I'm guessing it's probably like maybe 5 to 6 meters, probably not very big. Enemies within the whirlwind take shock damage and physical damage. Okay, so you do 2 different types of damage at the same time. So it looks like this can be very useful for some kind of debuff. Like if you combine it with charge, you can easily proc minor wound and minor breach, which will make your enemy take more damage. So it looks like it does have maybe some use for applying debuffs, and I guess it is more useful for PvE. Yeah. Allies within the whirlwind reduce their magicka and stamina cost by 10 seconds. Okay, this is actually quite nice as well. It depends on how big the whirlwind gets. I guess if it's like 8 meters, it could actually be a very nice set to use. And it occurs once every 20 seconds. Only lasts for 8 seconds though, so I don't think this will matter too much. But yeah, the main benefit I see from this is the fact that you can AoE apply shock. Sorry, you can apply minor Vound and minor Breach in an AoE. That's pretty much, I think, the strongest part of this set I can see. Alright, we have more sets. Let's see. Okay, this is a light armor set. When you deal shock damage, you have a 15% chance to deal even more shock damage to the enemy and up to 2 other enemies within 5 meters. Okay, not a lot of info in this set. I guess, again, it depends on how hard the set hits to be relevant or not. Next set, when you deal critical damage, you gain a stack of wild growth for 5 seconds and restore 10 stamina. And it's capped at 10 stacks. Each stack of wild growth increases your max stam by 222. So I guess you can get up to 2.2k max stacks. And you also restore 100 stam. And I think the nice thing about this set is that it only has a 0.5 second cooldown. So I guess, okay, the damage increase is not a lot. Like 2.2k stam is around like 200 weapon damage. Probably even less because weapon damage is affected by multiplayer. So I guess this is probably only as strong as a weapon damage glyph. But I think the main strength of this is probably the stam restore. It can proc every 0.5 seconds. So I'm guessing if you have a lot of like passive damage, for example, if you're a stam sword with Hurricane and you proc this a lot, you can get like, I guess theoretically you can get 400 stam regen worth of sustain from this set on top of some additional damage. Alright, next set. So this is a heavy armor set. After successfully blocking, you gain a buff for 10 seconds, causing your next bash attack to deal magic damage up to 6 enemies in a 10 meter line. Okay, great. Another bash set. And it applies major vulnerability too. Okay, this is just insane. I don't think this set is that OP for solo play or maybe even group play, but I can definitely see this being super annoying to deal with in the XV1. Like, I can imagine someone just coming up to you, spamming bash, and apply this major vulnerability debuff. And it scales off your max health as well. So I guess this is like a tank set. Again, it depends on how hard this hits, but I don't think that really matters because the main strength of this is the major vulnerability. So I think this set definitely has potential. But it doesn't compare to the next set, which I think is probably the most OP set introduced this DLC. So when you use an ult, the closest 6 enemies within 12 meters have all damage over time, major debuffs and minor debuffs applied to them extended by 1 second per 25 ultimate spent. So I'm guessing this will cap out at about 20 additional seconds if you use 500 ult. This effect will not apply to damage beam or damage tether. So unfortunately, or at least I should say fortunately, you can't use Zan with this. And it can occur every 20 seconds. So obviously there's a lot of potential with this monster set. I think one of the main considerations for this is to use it together with the Necro Colossus ult, which applies major Vound. So you can probably apply like a 20-second major Vound on your enemy. Another application I can see this being really useful for is damage over time effects like Rend. Like, I can just imagine applying a 30-second Rend. I think maybe even 36 seconds. Actually, I don't even know. Wait, does this... I'm not sure if this works like Balrog or it works like Battle Roar. So, I'm not sure whether the ultimate spent is like your actual ultimate amount or the cost of the skill. So, I do hope it's the cost of the skill. Otherwise, you can stack like 500 out and just apply a very nasty debuff that lasts very long on an enemy. So I do see some good applications. One is definitely Rend. Like, I can imagine having Rend last like over 20-30 seconds and you get a lot of passive healing. Another thing I think will be really OP is Venomous Claw from the DK, because Venomous Claw does more damage the longer it lasts. So I can imagine that if you use it together with this, like you apply Venom Claw and then you pop Corrosive or something, it can make the Venom Claw damage stack really high. And another application I can see is probably Dawnbreaker or Smiting. Like Dawnbreaker dot hits really hard. Like I can hit like 4 to 5k ticks on really squishy people, and it only lasts 6 seconds and only ticks 3 times. But I can imagine with this set, you can get like a 20-second Dawnbreaker dot on an enemy, which is just insane. So yeah, definitely a very strong monster set. I don't think it will replace Magma Incarnate for 1vx, but definitely a lot of interesting applications for this. Alright, so let's that's all for the sets. So let's skip ahead to the next relevant part. Alright, I think we have some even more new sets. So let's see. So these are PvP item sets. I think, yeah, these are new sets. So we have a light armor set. When Battle Spirit is active. So this is just a purely PvP set. So PvEers can't complain. Critically healing yourself or an ally causes you and up to 11 other group members within 12 meters. So pretty large AoE. To gain 300 weapon and spell damage and 1.6k critical resistance for 20 seconds. And it only has a 15-second cooldown. But the downside is each group member affected reduces the weapon damage by 15 and the crit resistance by 83. So fortunately, it doesn't look like this set is that good if you're running in a Zerg. But I can see this being super useful if you're a solo player or even up to 4-man. Like I feel like next patch, every small scale group will probably need to have one of these. Like if you're alone, you're just getting 300 weapon damage, which is like powerful assault, and 1.6k crit resist. And it looks like this can be 1 bar as well. So I think this is a really good set for outnumbered players. And I'm very happy that this set got added. Alright, next set. It's a medium armor set. When you deal damage with a heavy attack, you gain 1.2k offensive pen for each enemy within 8 meters of a target for 10 seconds. Can occur every 7 seconds. Alright, it looks like there is no cap to this. So yeah, it doesn't look like there's any cap to this. So I guess this will be very useful for outnumbered PvP. And by the looks of it, I think as long as there are 4 or more enemies, this will be very strong. With 4 enemies, you're already at almost 5k pen, which is a lot of damage from this set. And yeah, I can definitely see this being used. It doesn't look like you need a full heavy attack either, but of course need to test it on PTS. I'm guessing maybe a medium attack will work. So if that's the case, then yeah, this set is even better. So definitely looks like it could replace stuns for outnumbered players. But of course, if you're just fighting like one player, then this set is pretty much useless. So yeah, I think this set has potential, but I don't think it's going to work in a lot of situations. Only in very specific situations you're going to benefit greatly off of this set. Alright, next set. Heavy armor. When you deal direct damage, you have a 10% chance to create an area under the target that detonates after 1 second, applying a debuff for 10 seconds. This debuff will lower the health, mag, and stam recovery of enemy players by 129. That's actually quite a decent amount per player's hit. This effect can occur once every 15 seconds. So thankfully, it looks like this set isn't too useful for XV1 since it scales off of the amount of players. I think this could be really nice in like group fights. Like you could probably like apply. Well, can imagine like reducing the recovery of another player by like 500, even 1k if there's a lot of them. I just wonder how big the AoE is. I'm probably guessing like somewhere between 6 to 8 meters. Yeah, it can only occur once every 15 seconds. I don't really think this is going to work for small scaling, but maybe in a balanced GVG, I would say, like, for example, in a 6 versus 6, I think this will be quite useful to have. Just sorts of messes up their sustain. But if you are trying to do outnumbered PvP, I don't even think this will be enough. Like, I mean, if you are doing a 4v20, I don't think it's going to matter if you reduce the 20 players recovery, since there's definitely better sets to run, but still a consideration. Alright, we have some Imperial City sets. It looks like all of these are they monster sets? Yeah, I think they are probably new monster sets, if I'm not wrong. It's the 2-piece. So, okay. On dealing frost damage, create an area under a target for 6 seconds that applies Chilling Bite. Chilling Bite deals frost damage and applies a stacking 25% snare. Oh, this actually looks quite cancerous. Like, I'm assuming the snare will keep increasing from like 25 to 50 to 75, and then eventually it just roots them. And you also apply Major Britter to them, causing them to take 20% increased critical damage. Okay, I can already see this set being used to XV1. Yeah, this looks like a very strong XV1 set. I can just imagine you just need one player to apply this, and whoever you are trying to XV1 is really going to take 20% more crit damage, and they'll probably just explode. Can occur every 15 seconds. Alright, so it's actually not, at least it isn't applied on cooldown, and the Major Britter is only 4 seconds. So I guess if you're really scared of this set, you could probably like use an add-on to keep track of Major Britter and just be extra careful when this is applied to you. But yeah, I'm glad this isn't a shorter cooldown. I think this set shouldn't be a problem, even for 1vx. Alright, next set. When you deal direct damage to a target within 12 meters, create an area that after 1 second quickly moves forward and then returns. Okay, very interesting mechanic. It deals shock damage and applies minor enervation for 5 seconds, causing the target to deal 10% less crit damage. Honestly, I don't think this set is good unless somehow this hits really hard or can hit twice. Interesting, it looks like it might be able to hit twice, both on the forward and backward stroke. But this debuff shouldn't be a huge problem. 10% less crit damage. I don't think you will even notice it, and it only lasts 5 seconds. So yeah, not really a very impressive set. Alright, next set. On dealing direct area damage, mark a target for 6 seconds. Every 2 seconds after an explosive scamp is spawned nearby and detonates after 1 second, dealing magic damage up to 6 enemies within 4 meters. Okay, so the area is not very big. 4 meters is the same as Liquid Lightning or Volley. And applies minor timidity. Never seen this debuff before. And it drains ultimate. Drains 1 ultimate every 1.5 seconds. It looks like it can be quite annoying. Can probably mess up your tempo. Each explosive scam spawn deals 2 times more damage. Okay, that's kind of scary. Effect can occur every 25 seconds. Alright, so from the looks of it, it spawns a bomb, I guess, every 2 seconds, and each subsequent one deals 100% increased damage. So I'm hoping that the scamp base damage isn't too high. Otherwise, this can be really, really OP. And it deals it applies this debuff, which looks quite annoying to deal with in a 1vx, especially when you have so many debuffs on you already. But another very interesting thing I see out of this set is the 1-piece bonus. It's the same as Magma Incarnate. Gives you both mag and stamina recovery. I guess it could be very useful. Like, if you are not running a proc, like if you choose not to run a proc, I guess you could run 1-piece Baron Tusk and 1-piece Magma Incarnate and just get a lot of recovery from both. So yeah, very nice 1-piece. 2-piece looks like it can be quite strong for 1v1s or xv1, even though it does AoE damage. But you can mark a target. So it's kind of interesting. You proc it with a direct AoE damage, but you only mark 1 target. And the cooldown is 25 seconds. Yeah, I'm not sure why they choose to make it direct AoE, but I guess it's to make sure I guess maybe like if you're fighting a group, it makes it harder to target who you are actually trying to kill. Not sure. Alright, okay, let's skip ahead. Okay, nothing of importance here for combat. Okay, what's this? Okay, these are companions, not relevant. Not relevant. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is where things probably start to get more interesting. So there are a lot of combat changes this patch, I believe. Alright, let's see. Player abilities that scale off with your offensive stats, such as weapon damage and max stamina, will now dynamically scale with the highest of your offensive stat. Okay, so basically, this is a very, very enormous change. Basically, there's if you are stem, whether you are stem or magicka, now you can use the abilities, not just the ultimate. You can use the abilities of the other resource type and still be doing pretty much full damage. So I think this opens up a lot of new opportunities. But for example, you could probably run rapid regen on stamina tunes or vigor on a magicka character. I can just imagine magicka Templar with barber, rapid regen, and vigor probably going to be unkillable. So, but one thing I'm looking forward to is using the magicka morph of Spectral Bow for my stem blade, because the magicka morph deals 10% more damage and also heals more. Plus, it has a really cool sound when it fires off. So yeah, definitely opens up a lot of possibilities, although it looks like it's going to be a bit of a balanced nightmare, but hopefully it's going to make things in this game, it's going to make PvP more interesting and fun. That's what I hope. And as a heads up, these following abilities, okay, so Backlash, Conjured Wall, okay, have not received, so I'm guessing they will receive it soon. I can imagine a Stem Sock running Ward. That would be quite hilarious. But it's probably going to stack. You're probably going to have to stack stamina, which is not ideal. Okay. Player abilities such as that grant major savagery, prophecy, all the major buffs will now grant both their respective versions in order to reinforce the accessibility of hybrid stat gaining. One very useful thing I can see this being used for is Camo Hunter. Like you no longer need to use Mage Slide. I think Camo Hunter is better. You can use like Camo Hunter to get your spell crit. You can use Rally to get your major sorcery. So I'm guessing maybe you will start to see some two-hand magicka builds running Rally. Yeah, I think honestly having Rally on a magicka character, maybe a Nightblade would be really nice. Maybe even a Magpla. Kind of insane. I can imagine Magpla two-hand, it will actually be viable now. You probably don't even need Honor the Dead now with Rally and Living Duck. Definitely something I would probably try. Yeah, lots of opportunities. Again, it is the amount of things you can do is probably too vast for me to cover. But yeah, you can let your imaginations run a while. Note that player passives and consumables that provide the minor versions of this have not been adjusted at this time. Okay, so basically what this means is that stuff like, for example, Stem Blade has a passive that gives minor savagery, which is weapon crit. So even if you're on a Stem Blade, you'll still have 6% more weapon crit than spell crit. Which kind of brings me back to the point earlier where I said I wanted to use magicka bow for my Nightblade. I guess I do gain 10% damage and more heals, but I will probably lose 6% crit on it because of the lack of the passive. But yeah, I'm glad they decided to keep the distinct identity of this. So you actually need to have you can actually have more diversity in your groups to get all the bonus. And you fix an issue where joining or leaving a group could resummon an unsummon pet, not relevant. Alright, Dragon Knight, great. Fiery Breath, Engulfing Flames Morph. This morph's damage taken now scales with a mixture. Okay, very interesting. It's a mixture of a weapon and spell damage rather than spell damage and max magicka. The cap is reached when your combined weapon and spell damage is over 9,000. This is just ridiculous. 9,000 is way too low. Like, you can probably hit 9,000 when 9,000 combined weapon and spell damage when completely unbuffed. I have no idea what Zos is thinking when they like set this cap so low. Now literally even a tank could hit the damage cap. What they should do is keep the damage cap amount the same, but make it so that you need to hit like probably 15k combined damage in order to reach the cap. Because what I see now is that people are going to be doing a lot of damage with this skill. Like even tanks with like no damage is going to hit the cap easily. It is not that hard to hit 9k combined spell and weapon damage. It's not even that hard to hit 12k, yet alone 9k. So I'm really hoping they will change this, otherwise this will be too strong. Definitely need to raise it to at least 15k, if not 16k or more. 9k is just too little. Alright, Searing Strike, Burning Embers Morph. This ability heals for up to 100% the damage done anytime it deals damage, rather than up to 75% of the total damage done when the effect ends. Alright, so first thing I see is more Mag DK buffs, so this can't be good. But then again, they removed the ability of this skill to critically strike. So I guess it sort of balances it out. Maybe make it a bit more consistent. So yeah, I don't think this skill changed too much overall. Let's see what they have to say about it. This change was made to help offer the Wagonknight more steady healing in the midst of combat, rather than locking a heal behind a more burst-like window when it comes in massive clumps. Since much of the Wagonknight's healing currently comes in bursts, while their sustained healing is weaker. Okay, this almost made me laugh, but alright, whatever you say. Additionally, this will fix many issues where the healing from the current iteration can return significantly higher. Okay, at least I'm glad they sort of make it more consistent. Buff the base heal, but reduces the chance of it critting. Hey, Zos, when you're at it, why not make like Purifying Light not crit as well? It's literally the same principle. Purifying Light shouldn't be critting because it is already based off of damage that could already crit. So why are you making it crit? Come on, just revert Purifying Light. It's already so OP. And I say this even though I play Templar, so I'm not being biased. Alright, Spiked Armor. The return damage from this ability now scales off a mixture of your physical and spell resistance rather than spell and max magicka to help reinforce its identity of a tank ability. So great, Zos is encouraging more tanks. That's definitely going to turn out very well. Volatile Armor Morph. The area damage effect now scales off of physical. Oh, for fuck's. Oh my gosh. The problem I see with this is that now, when I fight tanks, they can just be holding block and just spamming heals, and they will still be reflecting a lot of damage back to me. Because do you have any idea like how hard this skill can hit? Especially with a set like Drawkin. It can hit really hard. And now that it scales off of physical and spell resist, I can imagine like even a tank could do a lot of damage to you if you're attacking them. Like I can imagine fighting a tank for 10 minutes, not being able to kill them, and then after I exit combat, I look at my combat metrics and I see that 80% of the damage I took is from this skill. Not looking forward to this. I really don't like this change. Alright, Necromancer. Pummeling Goliath. Fix an issue where the ultimate's bash override did not receive the cost and cooldown adjustments. It can also now proc enchants or poison. So great. More bash buffs. Alright. Shocking Siphon, Mystic Siphon. Fix an issue where this morph's magicka restore was lower than the tooltip stated. Okay, I guess it's a fix, but I mean, this is literally a macro buff. Skeletal Archer. Fix an issue where this morph's damage was not increasing per attack as stated. Okay, so in a way, more Necromancer buffs. Restoring Tether. Fix an issue where this ability and its morph's ally healing were considered single target instead of AoE. The heal from all of these abilities and the tooltip will now be properly tracked as AoE. Okay, shouldn't be too much of a change. Alright, Nightblade. Quite excited to see this, since it's the class I'm maining now. Killer's Blade. Fix an issue where this ability could fail to be recognized as a class or execute ability in some rare cases. So I guess there were probably like some proc sets that wasn't recognizing this ability when they should. So okay, not a bad fix. Grim Focus. Fix an issue where the override for this ability and its morph Assassin's Wheel was 30 meters instead of the standard 28. I didn't even realize this was a thing. Didn't even realize that it was 30 meters instead of 28, but oh well, shouldn't be an issue since I'm playing melee. Teleport Strike. Fix an issue where this ability and its morphs stated had an instant cast time rather than its true 400 millisecond cast time, since I'm guessing this is like very long ago. Okay, I guess I don't mind this change. Probably a slight drawback to gap close spammers, so I don't mind. Path of Darkness made some back end improvements to this ability and its morphs to improve performance. Refreshing Path. This ability now heals 1 less overtime over its duration as a result of the back end adjustments, but the total healing has been increased to ensure no changes. Alright, nothing much to say. Alright, Strife. Increase the damage of this ability and the funnel health morph by 5.6%. I'm guessing this doesn't affect the morph which deals increased damage. If I'm not wrong, wait. Actually, I'm not even sure. Hold on, I have to check. I'm not even sure if funnel health is the one that deals more damage, or is it Swallow Soul? I think if I'm not wrong, Swallow Soul should be the one that deals more damage. So this isn't going to be a relevant change for most mech blades who are not healers. So yeah. Alright, Sorcerer. Time to nerf Sock again. Alright. Crystal Weapon. This ability will now replace Imbue Weapon or its morphs after casting to help reduce the burst potential it can offer with singular movements. So a very massive hit to Stem Sword gankers, and I definitely don't mind it. If you guys don't know, Imbue Weapon is a Sigic ability. It makes your light attacks deal an additional damage for up to 2 seconds after you cast it. And since Crystal Weapon lasts 4 seconds, you can cast Crystal Weapon now and then cast Imbue Weapon and then overload light attack someone and you will hit them a lot. So yeah, definitely don't mind this change. Reduces the strength of Stem Sword gankers, which if I believe are still quite strong, although not as strong as the current MacDK heavy attack gankers. So yeah, good change. Daedric Mines. Fix an issue where this ability and its morph scaling coefficients did not match the expected again, I'm guessing they're meant to type ratio of 1 weapon damage to 10.5 mag or stem. This will result in it scaling less effectively with weapon or more spell damage, but more effectively with max magicka or stamina. Finally, they changed it. So in case you guys don't know, for the longest time ever, for some reason, Daedric Mines, instead of scaling 1 weapon damage equals to 10.5 mag, it was scaling one weapon or spell damage equals to 20 mag. So this has been around for like forever. I remember back then I did theory craft like some mine Sock builds which just stack a lot of spell damage. Like back then you could stack a lot of spell damage on a Max Sock. Although it's not optimal because, as you know, Max Sock needs magicka for larger shields. But you could still stack a lot of spell damage on Max Sock and your mines will hit really, really hard. Because for some reason, Zos made it so that mines scaled better with spell damage over max mag. So now they are changing it, which I would say is probably a buff to... it's definitely a buff to Max Sock. Because most Max Socks are going to stack a lot of max magicka, so this will definitely make mine stronger than that for them. Alright, Encase. Shattering Prison. Fix an issue where this ability's damage was not considered an AoE. Alright, minor change. Bound Armaments. Fix an ability where this issue was not being considered direct damage in some cases. So I guess it will be kind of a slight buff to Stem Sock. Or maybe, I shouldn't even say Stem Sock. Maybe even Max Sock can use it now. Now that we have the hybridization changes. Alright, Lightning Form. This ability and its morphs now last 20 seconds at base, up from 15 seconds to properly match the standard duration. Boundless Storm. This morph ranks up to 30 seconds instead of 23. No longer ranks up in damage. Alright, I think this is a pretty nice solid change to Max Sock. Now Boundless Storm's buff duration is about the same as Crit Surge, so I guess it will make managing your buffs a lot easier. Although you still need to recast it often for the major speed, but if you don't, then yeah, you can definitely save some sustain with the longer duration. Hurricane. The AoE from this morph now grows at 8 and 15 seconds rather than 6 and 11 seconds. Looks like a nerf to me, I'm not sure. Reduce the damage bonus per tick to 8 seconds, down from 10%. However, the total damage bonus will reach 160%, up from 150%. Just looks like a slight rework of Hurricane, shouldn't be a huge difference. Alright, the time has come, Templar. Oh, I'm actually kind of scared to read this. But alright, let's go. Burning Light. This passive now only deals magic damage rather than physical and magic, but continue to scale for higher stat. Not a huge change. Explosive Charge. Fix an issue where the damage from this ability could not be dodged, similar to Stampede or Brutal Pounce. Alright, nice. Small nerf to topper spam builds, although I guess most people is going to be using the other morph, but I still occasionally meet some people who use this morph for some reason. Alright, this is the interesting one. Piercing Javelin. This ability and its morphs now bypass block to live up to their name. And also they already bypass resistance. So I think this ability is going to be super annoying. Like I can imagine like trying to XV1. People are probably going to start spamming this ability a lot more, since in the first place it also completely negates your resistance. So I'm guessing you could stack like a lot of spell damage and have like 0 resistance and just spam Javelin at someone. It will go through their block. It's going to stun them through the block. And I think that will make Meteor a bit more relevant. I can imagine being on a Mechpla and just Meteor and Javelin someone. Yes, it can still be dodged. But if you're combining Javelin with Meteor, if they try to block the Meteor, Javelin will just stun them. And if they try to dodge the Javelin, Meteor is just going to destroy them through dodge. So definitely a very interesting change. Probably a bit annoying to deal with. But I can see Meteor being viable on Templar next patch, thanks to this ability change. Alright, Puncturing Strikes. Biting Jabs. This ability now grants major brutality and sorcery for 10 seconds after casting. Alright, interesting. So, I guess you can probably use this morph over puncturing sweeps, which is the Mechpla morph at the moment. Next patch, you sacrifice the heal, but you get a source of major sorcery, which is quite nice on Mechpla, since currently Mechpla usually runs spell power pots to get this. So I can imagine swapping to this morph and running Camo Hunter Franz Bar, and voila, you get both your spell crit and your major sorcery, and you can probably run tripods on the Mechpla. So definitely opens up more opportunities. Not to mention, this also does physical damage, so it can apply a minor breach, which is 3k pen. So really, really strong. Definitely going to see a lot of Mechpla swap over to this, especially since puncturing sweeps healing isn't even that good, honestly. I myself might consider swapping to this. Spear Shots. Increase the range of this ability slightly. Reduces the radius to 6 meters, down from 8 meters. I don't like this change. yeah, I don't think this is a good change for PvP, because honestly there isn't really much use for spears in the first place, and to reduce the radius even more is probably just going to kill this skill completely in PvP. Like currently right now, spears still has some use in PvP. Like for example, in a tower fight, you can throw this down and it will do a fair bit amount of AoE damage as well as AoE damage over time. Not to mention the damage can also help proc Burning Light, but that was because it was 8 meters. Now that it's reduced to 6, I think it's going to weaken it a lot. Probably more of a PvE change, it looks like. Radiant Ward. Increase the shield scaling per enemy hit to 20%, up from 9%. So maybe we can finally see a return of Radiant Ward Templar tanks, but not even sure if this will be enough for that. Alright, Dawn's Wrath, Eclipse, Living Dark. Reduce the snare potency to 40%, down from 60%. This skill is still going to be super OP. Like this, they can completely take away the snare and it will still be OP. Because Living Dark is just such an insane heal. It's like easily twice the amount of healing as Rapid Regen. And yes, currently it applies a cancerous 60% snare. I guess I don't mind the reduction to 40%. Definitely will make fighting Templars a bit easier with a weaker snare. But again, this is probably like a 5% nerf to the overall strength of the skill. It's still going to be super OP. What needs to be nerfed is the healing, not the snare. Unstable Core. Fix an issue where this ability had a 100 millisecond cooldown per effect rather than the listed 1 second, which created situations when it was dealing significantly more damage than intended. Alright, excellent change. One very annoying thing about fighting Templars with Unstable Core is that they just keep applying this on you, and it's very hard to sort of burst them when this skill is on you, because not only do you take damage when you attack them, you also get stunned in the middle of a combo. So I'm guessing this will make it a bit harder for that to happen. So yeah, good change. Sacred Ground. Fix an issue where this passive was not working with Ritual of Retribution. Small change. Alright, time to move on to Warden, aka the class probably in need of the most buffs. Deep Fissure. Increase the duration of Major Breach to 10 seconds, up from 6 seconds. Alright, excellent change. Magden buff, very good. Growing Swarm. This morph now limits the number of active targets you can have it on 1, but increase the damage of the AoE portion of this ability by 50%. So basically right now on live, you can apply it on many people, and I guess the AoE damage can overlap, so I'm guessing this change is meant to prevent that. I don't think this is going to make too much of a difference though, so let's move on. Fungal Growth. Increase the healing of this ability and its morph by 12.5% to meet the AoE burst heal standards. Its cost remains the same since it covers significantly less area. Alright, excellent change. For the longest time, I feel like mushroom heals on Warden was too weak, or at least cost too much for its strength. I'm glad to see the increase in healing done. So maybe finally we'll see some Wardens start using it more. If I'm not wrong, most Wardens don't even use this skill now. So yeah, definitely a good change. Healing Seed. Made some back-end improvements to this ability and its morph to improve performance. Okay. Fix an issue where the synergy granted was not playing visual or sound effects. Corrupting Pollen. This ability now prioritizes lower health enemies with major defile. Right, which season is coming. Okay, I guess this just makes the skill a bit more a bit easier to use, or at least behave a bit more smart. I had to drink some water. Alright, Lotus Flower. Reduce the cost of this ability and its morphs to 1.3k, down from almost 3k. Wow, that's a huge reduction, more than 2 times. Excellent. I feel like Lotus Flower is underused in a way. Like the only time I really see it used a lot are in like old Warden builds back when Warden first came out. So definitely this will encourage more people to use it. I always want to use Lotus Flower, but there are many downsides which I think I addressed below. The base ability now grants Major Prophecy and Savagery while active. Green Lotus Morph. This morph now increases the number of targets healed up to 2. It also increases the healing from the light attack and the heavy attack. Alright, good change. Lotus definitely needs a buff, very underrated skill. But this is the one I'm looking at. Lotus Blossom. This morph will now increase the duration of the effects to 60 seconds, up from 20. Very, very good change. The one thing I really hate when I use Lotus back in the past, like if you watch some of my Stamden videos from long ago, I think probably one of the first few Stamden videos I did use Lotus. One of the things I really hate about Lotus is having to maintain it. Like, it only lasts 20 seconds, but on Warden you have so many other things to keep up. For example, Netch, you have your Shimmering Shield, sometimes you have your Vines as well, Arctic Healing, your armor buff. So it creates very little time for you, or at least it makes it very troublesome to try and keep up Lotus as well. But I can definitely see this morph being really popular, lasting 60 seconds. And the best part about this skill is not the fact that it heals you while you light or heavy attack. It's the fact that this heal can help proc the Major Mending passive in the Warden tree line, which is what I used it for previously. Of course, I think most people use Vines for that now. So yeah, this is definitely a very nice passive heal to have. Very easy to keep up now that it lasts a minute. I'll probably choose this morph over the other, even though the other heals more. Way more convenient to use this. Nature's Grasp. Reduce the healing from this ability and the Nature Embrace morph by 10%. Bursting Vines. Reduce the healing by 25% to ensure that it's not stronger than other burst heal. Honestly, I find this change completely unnecessary. Like, this heal isn't even that strong. I don't get why they need to reduce the healing. If anything, they should buff this slightly. But yeah, I think totally unnecessary change. I guess even more reason to change from Vines to Lotus Blossom. So yeah. Alright, Shimmering Shield. Fix an issue where Major Heroism will not refresh from this ability after activating once. Ice Fortress. Increase the duration of this morph from 25 seconds, up from 24 seconds. Alright, sure. Alright. Time for the weapon changes. Two-handed. Critical Rush. This ability now ranks up in cost reduction and reduce the base cost. Alright, great. Even more reason for people to spam Gap Close on you. Alright, this is the interesting one. Momentum. This ability and its morphs now also grant Major Sorcery. Alright, very nice. Again, I can see this being really nice of Macpla. Forward Momentum, aka the morphs that no one uses, increases the final cost of this ability to 3.2k, up from 2.7k, but it also increases the duration of the buffs to 40 seconds, up from 20 seconds. I think this is just a nerf overall. Like, yes, it does last longer, but you don't use this ability for the buff. I mean, you use it for the buff, but you use this morph for the snare remover, which I assume isn't getting changed. And this just makes the snare remover more expensive. So yeah, no idea why they decided to increase the cost. I mean, they can just do this and be done with it, but I don't get why they need to increase the cost. Like, the whole reason you even go this morph in the first place is to get the snare remover. But yeah, I don't understand this change at all. Reverse Slice. Increase the cost of this ability and its morphs to 2.4k, up from 2.1k. I admit the cost is a bit low for Execute, but honestly this change isn't needed. Executioner Morph. This morph no longer ranks up in 1.1 damage, percent damage done per rank. and instead reduces the cost per rank. Alright, not a fan of this change. I like how hard my executioner hits now, but it shouldn't be too big of an issue, I guess, with like a 3% damage decrease. Still going to hit very hard. Reverse Slash. This morph's splash damage now ranks up to 100% of its original hit, up from 78% at rank 4. Alright, nice change. Definitely encourages more group builds to run Reverse Slash and two-hand over dual wheel and whirling blades. I just wish that they would increase the AoE size of this ability. I think that would be really nice. Would prefer it over the splash damage. But yeah, not a bad change. Definitely good for outnumbered PvP. Alright, Sword and Board. Power Bash. The damage from this ability and its morphs are now considered bash damage and interrupts casting targets. This means that the damage will increase with bonuses to bash, as well as triggering events that require you to deal bash damage. It will not, however, inherit cost reduction bonuses to bash. Alright, GG. It looks like bash builds are probably going to be the meta next patch. I mean, I played a few BG matches yesterday and I ran into many bash spam builds which hit like freaking 2 to 3k per bash. Yeah, this can't be good. Power Slam. The bonus from this ability, Resentment, no longer stacks up to 10 times. It now increases the damage of a next Power Slam by 33%. What does Zox have to say? In efforts to inject some life into an incredibly niche playstyle, Bash, we significantly amped up the viability of Bash builds. Oh, for fuck's sake. We are aware of how much power is behind Bash builds, however, so we'll be keeping a close eye on this functionality and see if we need to tone down the base damage to make up for its ability to stack with new bonuses. Definitely going to have to tone down the base damage. Even before all these changes, bash builds are already hitting incredibly hard, so I don't think this will be balanced at all. I'm guessing this will be just elsewhere too. The return of all the 5k bash damage Necro Goliath spammers can't be good for balance, but oh well. Shield Charge, Shielded Assault increases the shield granted from this morph to 25% of max health, up from 15%. Small change. Reduces the base cost of this morph to 3.5k, down from 3.7k. Alright, great. Encouraging more gap close spammers. Flying Dagger. This ability and its morphs now also grant major sorcery. The base version of this skill now grants major brutality and sorcery after casting, rather than after using the teleport. Increases the damage of the teleport version by 50%. I guess this is not a bad change. I don't see a lot of people using this. Hopefully that will open up more opportunities. Alright, Bow. Bombard. This morph no longer snares targets. Great. This morph now reduces the cost as the ability ranks up, rather than increasing the duration of the negative effects. The Immobilize remains to be 4 seconds as it was at rank 4. Alright, I think this is a pretty nice change. To be honest, Root and Snare in the same skill seems a bit too strong to me. I'm glad they removed one of it. Venom Arrow. This morph now grants major brutality and sorcery for 10 seconds after casting. Alright, so I guess pure bow builds are now possible. Resto Staff, Blessing of Protection. This ability and its morph now follow the AoE burst heal standards. Okay, so Zoss is just standardizing everything. I guess there are pros and cons to that. Have the cost increased to 4.8k, up from 3.5k. Increases the healing done from the Blessing of Protection and Combat Prayer by approximately 36%, and the duration of their effects to 10 seconds, up from 8. Alright, this is a nice buff. Blessing of Restoration morph increases the healing done from this morph to 12.5 seconds and increases the duration of the buff to 20 seconds, up from 16. Alright, one application I see this being useful for, at least to me, is the fact that the other morph of Resto Out will cast this skill for free. So I'm guessing the increased burst heal, I mean it casts it for free, so the increased cost doesn't matter, but the increased burst heal will be nice. So this will kind of be a minor buff if you are using the other morph of Life's Champion. I forgot the name, but it's the one that casts 3 abilities for free. This is a nice buff. You get additional time on your buffs after casting Resto Out. So yeah, I welcome this change. Steadfast Ward. Ward Ally. This morph, I don't think anyone uses this morph. People use Healing Ward. Now reduces in cost as the ability ranks up rather than increasing in shield size. Alright, other skills. Soul Trap. This ability and its morph now only deal magic damage, but damage will still scale dynamically. Vampiric Drain. Yeah, I literally don't see anyone using this. Increases the damage done from this ability and its morphs by 50% per tick. I don't think this will matter too much. Maybe you can finally start spamming it, but yeah, it doesn't hit that hard in the first place, so I guess I don't mind this change. Werewolf. Piercing Howl. Howl of Agony. Fix an issue where this ability's bonus damage to the target facing you could fail to work in many situations, so slight werewolf buff. Pounce. Fix an issue where this ability and its morphs override abilities Carnage. Could be dodged and blocked despite being damaged over time. Alright, don't mind the fix. Siege Order Imbue Weapon. This ability and its morphs now all cost 2.7k rather than 2715 for their stamina versions and 3.1k for its magical morph. Alright, so definitely makes this a very a more viable spammable option for mech builds. I guess it will make it more favorable compared to Crushing Shock. But let's see the comments. These abilities were originally met these values on their launch, but due to the overwhelming amount of use they saw at the time, they were increased to reach the same relative cost of other spammables. Now that many spammables in this game receive some tweaks since then to further incentivize their use, we are comfortable moving this back to a cheaper cost. Alright, fair enough. I just realized, on my ranged Magicka Templar build, I do use ally weapon for my spammable, so I guess this could make it a lot nicer. Ally weapon is really expensive, so I think ranged Magpla might be the way to play Magpla next patch, like with the javelin changes and all that stuff. I think I could definitely try playing ranged Magpla, not just for dueling but also for 1vx next patch. Definitely a very viable option. But yeah, looking forward to it. Alliance War. Magicka Detonation. Proxy Det. Fix an issue where the morph was not properly scaling with your max stamina if it was higher than your max Magicka. CP. Sustained by Suffering. Fix an issue where this passive was activating some effects it shouldn't have. Yeah, I realized some of this as well. Sometimes I realize it's proccing when it shouldn't be proccing. And not just this CP. Pretty sure Survival Instincts has the same issue. Like sometimes it procs when it shouldn't. Okay, what's this? Fix numerous issues where sets that weren't based on damage or healing were not properly labeled as such, creating confusion where some sets that applied buff or crowd control could still trigger other sets, when the core rule is that procs should not trigger other procs. Very good, Zos. Procs should not trigger other procs. That's a very good statement. Glad they are enforcing this. Their comments. The only time a set should trigger directly another set is when a set activates a core combat skill or event, such as dodging, blocking, or applying a status effects. The most noticeable fix is where sets such as Aegis Caller or Thunder Caller could trigger Dark Convergence, everyone's favorite set, or where Dark Convergence could trigger Hrothgar. I still remember this Dark Convergence triggering Hrothgar. Back when Dark Convergence and Hrothgar did a shit ton of damage, it was so cancerous, leading to insane wombo combos from one minor input. I wish they just implemented this earlier. Now Dark Convergence and Hrothgar aren't really a problem anymore, so not really an issue. Ability altering weapons. Piercing sprays. Fix an issue where this set could fail to grant its bonus to bow attacks. Perlinius Wrath. Fix an issue where the final tick could return at 0. Alright, dungeon and arena sets. Curse of Dolormish. This is a heavy attack gang set. Fix an issue where this set could proc on the same attack that triggered a stun in some cases, bypassing the intended counterplay of this set. Let me read that again. Oh, I'm guessing... Yeah, I'm guessing this... Oh, this is a very good fix. Now you can no longer use this set to gank, because what people like to do usually is run this set and then do like a heavy attack from stealth, which will stun the enemy, and at the same time will proc this as well. So this just prevents it from being used to gank, which I guess is always a good change. Nerfing gankers. Alright. Fire Blossom. Fix an issue where this set could fail to deal damage in many cases. Noble Duelist Silks. This set now adds 2.6k weapon damage to your light and heavy attacks rather than adding 1.8k base damage to these attacks. And it looks like this is a similar change as well for Undaunted, Infiltrator and Unweaver sets. So my thoughts on this. Honestly, it's a bit hard to say, but I'm guessing this will probably be a nerf. Because you have to see, like, the 1.8k and 1.6k damage added to these attacks is not just 1.8k. It is 1.8k before every single, like, damage buffs, before all your weapon damage multipliers, before all your minor berserk percentage damage done. So this is actually a lot more than 1.8k. And yes, it looks like 2.7k weapon damage is a lot, but I haven't tested, but by the looks of it, probably going to be a nerf. Unless you have like no weapon damage in the first place, then actually you might get a buff from this. But yeah. Monster sets. How do I pronounce this? Glogok the Destroyer. Fix an issue where this set could fail to remove its stacks in some cases. Mulakina. Okay, I think they finally fixed this. Fix an issue where this set could activate in situations it shouldn't have. So I'm guessing what they're saying is they prevented it from activating based on light attacks when you don't even hit anything. So in case you guys don't know, right now with Monarchina set, you can light attack the air twice and you will still proc it. You don't even have to hit the target. So if I had to guess, they'll probably change that. So yeah, nerf to gankers as well. You can probably no longer use this set to gank if that's the case. Mythics, Pearls of Anofe. Fix an issue where this set could proc from no-cost abilities, as well as some abilities while out of combat. Queen's Elegance. This set now grants Empower for 3 seconds after completing a fully charged heavy attack. Okay, I think this set is just completely useless now. 3 seconds Empower is literally nothing. Like, you have Templar with a skill that grants 12 seconds Empower. Empower isn't even that hard to get, honestly. And the condition is a fully charged heavy attack. Are you serious? It takes so long. Like, you can probably decon this set already. So, yeah, definitely not a good set. I'm pretty sure there's another set which procs major Empower off of block on top of some other effects, which is definitely going to be better than this. Yeah, I think you just completely dumpstered this set. Alright, Dark Convergence, everyone's favorite set. Fix an issue where this set was failing to apply any of its damage bonuses for extra targets inside. Alright, great change. Makes it more viable, makes it stronger against Zergs. Fix an issue where this set's damage could end much higher than intended in some cases. Fix an issue where this set could apply to justice neutral enemies when preventing when prevention of attack innocence was enabled. Okay, this is just a role player change. This change, I thought they fixed it already, but I guess it's still a thing. I'm pretty sure they fixed it like last patch. Hrothgar's Chill fixed an issue where this set was not triggering off of many abilities that it should have, such as Daedric Mines or Trap Beast. Wrath of the Imperium fixed an issue where this set was not applying its bonus to many attacks it should have. Vestments of Olorime fixed an issue where this set did not proc off ability source tethers, unlike other item sets that share very similar proc conditions. Is that all the... I think that's all the changes. Let's check. Yeah, pretty sure that's all the changes. There are... Wait, what's this? NMA? Oh, this is just UI. Yeah, I think that's all for the patch notes. For going through the patch notes. I hope you guys enjoyed. Feel free to ask in the comments if you have any questions. And you guys can discuss the changes in the comments as well. I'll be happy to join the conversation. And once again, looking forward to the next patch. And by the looks of it, it looks like Stem Blade isn't going to change a lot. So I'll probably upload my Stem Blade build video soon, which will work for next patch. So anyway, that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.